Hey guys, today I read an article about a man who shot two teenage girls. One of them died instantly, the other was critically injured. The police searched for the man and eventually they found him and caught him and put him in prison where after some time he committed suicide and died. The man was judged by many as a monster for the heinous crimes that he had committed, and I'm not saying that he should be pardoned for it, but what a lot of people didn't understand was the story behind the man. You see, he had already been in jail once for murder. He had spent 18 years in jail for that first murder, and when he was finally released at the job he was working at, he met a co-worker and they developed a relationship. This co-worker eventually shared Jesus with him, and he accepted Jesus into his life. And when he came to the church's Bible study that night, he learned about baptism, where he insisted on being baptized right then and there. This co-worker continued to bring him to church on Sunday mornings, and during these rides, the man told the co-worker, the discipler, all about his childhood, how he had always been overweight, how kids had always picked on him, and the abuse that he had experienced as a child. He'd been called piggy by other children, tied up, pushed over. His own parents had abused him as they struggled with their own alcohol and drug addictions and were in and out of prison themselves. He experienced extreme depression, which eventually turned into anger, which he put into use working for a local gang as their hitman. Unfortunately, with a change of job and a few other situations, the discipler and this man lost contact. Contact was few and far between, and there was an email. The email about a month after the last email, the discipler saw this man and this picture in the news story about the murder of this teenage girl. What do we learn from this? I think there's a couple of things that we learn from this story. One is that people have to be able to make their own decisions, and we can disciple them, we can work with them, we can parent them, we can teach them, but eventually they're going to make their own decisions about life. They're going to choose how they want to live. And we can't stop that. We can't force them to live the way that we want them to. Eventually they may stray from the path. That is their decision. This does not mean that your time was wasted. It simply means that as broken people, we will all make mistakes. Yet, I think there's more to it. Because secondly, you see, this story actually makes me think about what we talked about on Sunday. You know how Moses and Aaron were given simple instructions by God. Do this. And yet they chose not to. And because of that, they sinned. It's about, God. Remember, God said, because you didn't believe in me, because you rebelled against me. It said at the end of the book of Numbers, I think it was 24:17. And he tells them, because of your rebellion, because you didn't uphold me as holy in front of the congregation of people. And they get punished for it. And you know what it made me think about in combination with this article is, what if all people knew about Moses and Aaron was this one story? What would they think about Moses and Aaron? How would they judge Moses and Aaron? Because they don't know the rest of the story. How easy it would be to judge them, to say, hey, you had simple instructions. Why didn't you follow it? You guys are just sinners. You're just rebels. That's Moses and Aaron. We all have stories behind it. You think about when Moses and Aaron, how they had just lost their sister. All the rebellions they had squashed, all the time that they had spent in the desert, how tired they must have been. We don't know what it was that brought Moses and Aaron to this point, but there are stories behind the hurt and the pain. Often there are stories of hurt and brokenness behind the stories of hurt and brokenness. And I'm not trying to advocate that people shouldn't have to experience the consequences for their actions because at some point they were hurt. What I'm trying to say is that we need to look beyond the circumstances of a painful experience, of a person who struggles, to hear the story, to hear their heart. This story about the man I was telling you about is true, and I purposely didn't tell you his name because I think that any one of us could fill that story. Any one of us can be the Moses. Any one of us can be walking the right path and then make a mistake. We need to learn to look beyond the actions of hurt people. To not judge them because they make a mistake, but to see the heart, because we are all hurt people. And only through the grace and love of Jesus Christ can we be healed. And only through his Spirit, through his guidance, and through his community will we grow.